डन करो।
हाँ जी हाँ जी। So hello everybody, good morning and welcome back to the EduphoreIAS, the Hindu analysis series. And today we'll be starting with, of course, the way we discuss daily, like from the front page of the Hindu, that is of 9th June 2023. Fine. आज ये ध्यान रखने की ज़रूरत है कि आज के पेपर में बहुत कुछ डिस्कस करने वाला है. देयर आर लॉट्स ऑफ आर्टिकल्स विच आर वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फ्रॉम द एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. फाइन. तो हो सकता है कि लेक्चर थोड़ा लंबा हो कंपैरेटिवली, बट anyhow we'll try to cover each and everything, rest assured. Fine. So chalo, starting with the first come first. So आज फर्स्ट अगर मेन पेज पे अगर आप देखो हिंदू की बात करें तो जो मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ें हमारे लिए दैट इज फ्रॉम इकोनॉमी एंड दैट इज आरबीआई होल्ड्स रेट्स वाउज टू कीप प्राइस स्टेबिलिटी. व्हाट डज इट मीन? सो आरबीआई ने बेसिकली रेट हियर इज द रेपो रेट. फाइन. Now what is repo rate? So repo rate is basically the policy rate और उसको policy rate भी बोलते हैं. Either policy rate or repo rate is one and same thing. Fine. Repo rate in simple terms means the rate of interest at which the RBI lends money to the commercial banks. Fine. So this much याद रखना. RBI की दो major remember objective है, that is price stability and economic growth. बट अगर आप ये कहोगे कि इन दोनों में से टॉप नंबर 1 पे अगर रखना हो तो दैट इज प्राइस स्टेबिलिटी, बिकॉज आरबीआई वर्क्स अंडर mechanism or understanding between memorandum of understanding which has been signed between government and RBI, that is called FIT, that is flexible interest targeting. Fine. Under which the RBI को जो इन्फ्लेशन रेट है इकोनॉमी में उसको 4% रखना है. ठीक है. मीन्स 4%, बट थोड़ी लीवे दी गई है कि 4 + -2 कि जो इन्फ्लेशन है वो आइडियली इंडियन इकोनॉमी में इंडिया के लिए कितनी होनी चाहिए? 4 से +-2 मीन्स 2 से 6 के बीच में इन्फ्लेशन रह सकती है हमारी इकोनॉमी में, अकॉर्डिंग टू द अंडरस्टैंडिंग बिटवीन मेमोरेंडम ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग और द एग्रीमेंट बिटवीन आरबीआई एंड द गवर्नमेंट. फाइन. अब अगर 6 से ऊपर है इट मीन्स कि आरबीआई के लेवल पे कुछ एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर्स हो सकते हैं या आरबीआई के लेवल पे पॉलिसी मैटर्स इश्यूज हो सकती हैं. ठीक है. अगर 6 से 2 के बीच में है आइडियली 4 होना चाहिए, बट +-2 की लीवे दी गई है. ठीक है. ओके. सो हम इस आर्टिकल को इसी बेस पे हम डिस्कस करेंगे कि क्या पॉलिसी रेट जो मैंडेटरी है कि 2 से 6 के बीच में आपने इन्फ्लेशन रेट रखना है एंड आइडियली टू 4%, क्या उस इन्फ्लेशन रेट अभी है? नहीं है तो कब तक नहीं होगी? व्हाट आरबीआई गवर्नर इज सेइंग. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट व्हाट इज एग्जैक्टली इज द पॉलिसी रेट एट प्रेजेंट. फाइन. एंड व्हाट आर द अदर थिंग्स आरबीआई गवर्नर इज टॉकिंग अबाउट. सो लेट अस firstly discuss this. Remember, MPC is a 6-member monetary policy committee which actually takes the decision related to this policy rate and all. Fine. Especially related to the inflation. 6-member body है, इसमें 3 आरबीआई से होते हैं एंड 3 जो मेंबर्स हैं वो गवर्नमेंट अपॉइंटेड होते हैं. ठीक है. जिसमें आपके आरबीआई जो गवर्नर है वो हेड करते हैं इस कमेटी को एंड इनके पास वीटो पावर भी है. सपोज अगर 3 और 3 से बराबर हो जाती है वोट्स, ठीक है, डिसीजन मेकिंग में, तो टाई माना जाएगा. ठीक है. तो उसमें इनके पास कास्टिंग वोट है कि जो ये वोट करेंगे वही फाइनल डिसीजन होगा. होना भी चाहिए ऐसा, बिकॉज that's why how he is the head और यूटिलिटी ऑफ हेड होने का यही है. सो एमपीएससी कीप्स रेपो रेट अनचेंज्ड. इट मीन्स कि रेपो रेट इस मीटिंग से पहले भी 6.5 था और आज भी 6.5 ही रखा है इस मीटिंग के बाद भी. ठीक है. इसलिए होल्ड कर रहा है सेम रेट को और इसको अनचेंज रखा गया है. आरबीआई फोरकास्ट रियल जीडीपी ग्रोथ फॉर 2023-24 मीन्स करंट फाइनेंशियल ईयर और फिजिकल ईयर, यू कैन से करंट फिजिकल ईयर. सो रियल जीडीपी ग्रोथ भी फोरकास्ट किया वो 6.5 है. नाउ दिस इज सी हाउ इज इजी टू रिमेंबर कि रेपो रेट भी 6.5 है एंड आपकी रियल जीडीपी ग्रोथ की जो फोरकास्ट है फॉर दिस फिजिकल ईयर 2023-24 मीन्स फिजिकल ईयर 24, वो भी आरबीआई ने 6.5 ही रखा है. ठीक है. मीन्स दोनों ही आपके इजी टू रिमेंबर फैक्ट्स हैं. एक याद रखोगे दूसरा ऑटोमेटिक याद आ जाएगा. ठीक है. प्रोजेक्ट सीपीआई इन्फ्लेशन टू एवरेज 5.1% दिस फिजिकल ईयर. और जो सीपीआई इन्फ्लेशन प्रोजेक्शन है वो इस फिजिकल ईयर के लिए मीन्स 2023-24 के लिए कितना रहने वाला है? 5.1% की प्रोजेक्शन है, ठीक है, बट अभी इससे ऊपर चल रही है। चलो, सो दिस यहाँ से एक चीज हम और समझ लेते हैं कि रियल जीडीपी होती क्या है। सो रियल जीडीपी इज नथिंग बट थोड़ा नीचे लिख लेते हैं, रियल जीडीपी इज नथिंग बट नॉमिनल जीडीपी माइनस इन्फ्लेशन। नॉर्मली जो हम बात करते हैं कि इकोनॉमी हमारी 10% से ग्रो कर रही है, 12% से ग्रो कर रही है, दैट इज इन रियल सेंस नॉमिनल जीडीपी की बात करते हैं। जनरली हम रियल जीडीपी की हम बात करते हैं अगर हम उसमें से इन्फ्लेशन निकाल दें। सपोज कैसे, सपोज फोरकास्ट जो है रियल जीडीपी 6.5% रहने वाली है और इन्फ्लेशन की बात करें कि 5.1%, तो रियल जीडीपी इंडिया की अगर 6.5% हमारे गवर्नर साहब कह रहे हैं कि रहेगी, तो 6.5% के लिए नॉमिनल जीडीपी में से हमें माइनस करना है, इन्फ्लेशन रहने वाली है 5.1%, तो हमारी नॉमिनल जीडीपी कितनी हुई, मींस यहाँ पे ऐसी फिगर होनी चाहिए जिसमें से 5.1 अगर हम माइनस कर दें तो हम 6.5% की रियल ग्रोथ को अचीव कर लें, ठीक है। तो कितना माइनस करके हम यहाँ पहुँच जाएंगे, यस, हाउ मच, यहाँ पे कितने माइनस करें हम, इसमें से 5.1 को माइनस करें कि 6.5 आ जाए। सो कितना माइनस करेंगे फॉर गेटिंग 6.5, सिंपल मैथ्स, 6 चाहिए बिफोर डेसिमल, 615, एंड हियर वी नीड हाउ मच, 11, राइट। सो 11.6 minus this point after 0.6 minus 1.5 and 11 minus 5 6. So nominal ग्रोथ जो रेट होगी इंडिया की वो नियर अबाउट 11.6% होगी, तब हम 5.1% माइनस करेंगे फॉर दिस फिजिकल ईयर एंड विल बी गेटिंग द रियल जीडीपी फिगर एट 6.5%। आई होप इतनी आपको क्लैरिटी हो गई है, ठीक है। चलो, सो ये मेजर कल की जो पॉलिसी स्टेटमेंट है वो यही है। क्या कहते हैं हमारे गवर्नर साहब, वी हैव मेड गुड प्रोग्रेस इन कंटेनिंग इन्फ्लेशन डिस्पाइट 3 years ऑफ ग्लोबल टर्मोइल, इंडियाज ग्रोथ हैज बाउंस्ड बैक। ठीक बात है, इंडिया की ग्रोथ पॉजिटिवली, आई मीन इकोनॉमी पॉजिटिवली ग्रो कर रही है एंड वी आर वन ऑफ द हाईएस्ट फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग इकोनॉमी इन द वर्ल्ड टुडे, ठीक है। सो बिल्कुल ठीक बात है, ठीक कह रहे हैं जो कह रहे हैं, ठीक है। उसके बाद फर्दर देखा जाए तो एक और न्यूज़ इससे रिलेटेड मिसलेनियस फैक्ट कि हाफ ऑफ 2000 नोट्स हैव कम बैक टू द बैंक्स, ठीक है। आप लोगों को पता है जैसा कि 2000 के नोट्स जो हैं 30 सितंबर तक डेडलाइन दी गई है आरबीआई की तरफ से कि एक्सचेंज करा लो जिसके भी घर में है, ठीक है। तो उसमें से जितने भी इकोनॉमी में आरबीआई के डेटा के अकॉर्डिंग नोट्स हैं 2000 के सर्कुलेट कर रहे हैं, उसमें से हाफ जो अमाउंट की नोट है, दैट इज हाफ अमाउंट कितनी बनती है 1.8 लाख करोड़, इतनी वापस बैंकिंग सिस्टम में आ गए हैं, मीन्स लोगों ने ईमानदारी से डिपॉजिट करा दिए हैं, ठीक है। चलो, सो ये चीज़ हम बात कर चुके हैं, यही सब इसमें मेंशन है इस पैराग्राफ में, फाइन। बट क्या कुछ और इंपॉर्टेंट टैक्स होते हैं जो गवर्नर साहब ने कहा, आरबीआई गवर्नर हैज मेंशन की stressing that the RBI will remain watchful and proactive in dealing with the emerging risk to price and financial stability. So इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आज पॉज लगा दिया रेट पे तो हम ये समझ लें कि नहीं अब आरबीआई इसी रेट को बनाए रखेगी या कम करेगी गोइंग फॉरवर्ड, ठीक है। बट ऐसा नहीं होता, डिपेंडिंग ऑन हाउ द वर्ल्ड इज हाउ द सिचुएशंस इमर्जिंग, ठीक है। सपोज दो रेयर पॉसिबिलिटी, बट सपोज यूक्रेन एंड रशिया में वॉर हो जाए, फाइन, इन द नेक्स्ट 2-3 months, तो फिर सिचुएशन दोबारा से काफ़ी रिस्की एंड वोलेटाइल सिचुएशन हमें वर्ल्ड वाइड देखने को मिल सकता है। तो उस केस में हो सकता है कि हमें अपनी पॉलिसी रेट को बढ़ाना भी पड़ सकता है या कम करना पड़ सकता है, डिपेंडिंग ऑन द इमर्जिंग सिचुएशंस, ठीक है। सो हम प्रोएक्टिव एंड वॉचफुल रहेंगे, दैट्स व्हाट कुड बी द बेस्ट पॉलिसी स्टेटमेंट। और उसके बाद फिर से कहते हैं कि ही हैज स्ट्रेस्ड दैट द बेस्ट कंट्रीब्यूशन मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कुड मेक इन हेल्पिंग द इकोनॉमी रियलाइज इट्स पोटेंशियल वुड बी बाय एन इंश्योरिंग प्राइस स्टेबिलिटी। बिल्कुल ठीक बात है, जब आप प्राइस स्टेबिलिटी इंश्योर करते हो तो ग्रोथ अपॉर्चुनिटीज भी एंड पीपल आर टेम्पटिंग, इन्वेस्टर्स आर टेम्पटिंग टू मेक मोर इन्वेस्ट मोर, फाइन। दैट्स वाई पॉलिटिकली इकोनॉमी स्टेबल रहनी चाहिए, प्राइस स्टेबिलिटी हो, फाइन। इस तरह से ये सारी स्टेबिलिटी जरूरी है सो दैट फॉर अ स्टेबल डिसीजन मेकिंग, फाइन। एज अ प्राइवेट प्लेयर यू कैन टेक दिस stable decision. Of course, the rate action this time is obviously a pause. Future action will depend on the evolving situation. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है कि इस बार हमने रेट नहीं बढ़ाया है, हमने पिछला जो रेट था उसी पे पॉज लगाया, उसी को कांस्टेंट रखा है, बट फ्यूचर एक्शंस विल बी डिपेंडिंग ऑन द इवॉल्विंग सिचुएशन। जैसे सिचुएशन इमर्ज हो रही है अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड और इंडिया, एंड जैसे इंडिया पे इम्पैक्ट होता है उस हिसाब से हम अपने पॉलिसी स्टेटमेंट और मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी में डिसीजंस लेंगे, ठीक है. सो दैट्स इट अबाउट दिस MPC yesterday's policy statement or decision concerned. Moving to the second news, and that is Canada is giving space to extremists, says our honorable foreign external minister Shri Jaishankar ji. So he says कि Canada जो है वो extremist, he lambasted Canadian government for giving space to extremists, separatists and those who advocate violence. Extremists, you understand, extremists are the people who who hold ideology, you can say, or practice something which is let us say away from the mainstream ideologies, fine. Extreme and separatism is basically, let us say, suppose Khalistan. So Khalistan is what? Wants separate Sikh this nation for themselves. So separatism is basically succeeding or from one set of, let us say, it is related to a nation or state, means making your own separate territory, fine. It is more or less related to territory, fine. Separatism, we want separate rules, we want our own set of government, we want our own set of territory. Okay, so his remarks came after a float celebrating Indira Gandhi's assassination by her Sikh bodyguards was taken out as a part of parade in Canadian city of Brampton. So see what's going on. Assassination जो then ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर की हुई थी मिसेस इंदिरा गांधी, सो उनकी कह रहे हैं कि एक फ्लोट उनके उस पर निकाला गया, सेलिब्रेशन निकाली गई इनफैक्ट, एंड दैट परेड टुक प्लेस इन द सिटी ऑफ ब्रॉम्पटन. सो हाउ कम एनी कंट्री कैन अलाउ सच थिंग्स, so this is how, and Canada indeed has been very soft with Sikh separatism and all movements going on there. You see majority of the times Sikh for justice even operating from there, from yes, so the Western nations play a ploy kind of things, you can say, against India with the help of such anti-elements, anti-state elements. But no, this is what he said, and this is a much required statement, you can say, or much timely much timely stated thing. So monsoon sets in over Kerala after 7-day delay. So जैसा कि आपको पता है कि 1 और 2 जून तक मानसून आ जाता है केरला में, बस दिस टाइम मानसून की जो है वो डिलेड है, एंड यस्टरडे में मानसून सेट्स इन ओवर केरला, ठीक है. सो विद द 7-day डिलेज. चलो, तो इस फ्रंट पेज से हमारे लिए इतनी चीज़ें इंपॉर्टेंट थी. मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट पेज. Of course, this is a political, you can say, more or less is related to polity. Okay, that's why moving to the next page. अगले पेज पे चल के देखते हैं क्या है वहाँ. Is there anything important from the exam point of view? Nothing as such. Nothing as such. Again, politics and politics only. Further. Okay. Okay, so finally we have landed to the most important pages of this paper, or any paper per se, editorial page, and here we will be discussing a few important articles on this page and the next page as well. So first is another law, Canada is doing very little to address India's concern on Sikh extremism. इसकी हम बात कर चुके हैं briefly, and that is what the news is all about. Fine. So इसकी हम बात करते हैं, which is very important, getting railway safety back on track after Odisha, बालासोर में जो हुआ एक major accident, उसके बाद how can we ensure railways safety? Fine. So you can see he is a retired general manager, Indian Railway, creator of train 18 वंदे भारत, and an independent and rail consultant. ठीक है, सुधांशु मणि जी, ठीक है. So इनके designations हैं. So this piece of article seems to be very important as far as the governance related to railway is concerned, policy matters concerned. So let us start our discussion with this article. There are more articles for discussion today. Fine. So आप लोग ध्यान से सुनते रहो, ठीक है. चलो, सो विद फ्यू बैकग्राउंड जो हम सबको पता है, काफ़ी रिपीटेडली हम इसको सुन रहे हैं कि देयर हैव बीन इन्यूमरेबल टेलीविजन डिबेट्स फॉलोइंग द ट्रेन एक्सीडेंट इन्वॉल्विंग शालीमार चेन्नई कोरोमंडल एक्सप्रेस, फाइन, ठीक है, अलॉन्ग साइड हावड़ा सुपरफास्ट एक्सप्रेस, दिस सर एम विश्वेश्वरैया टर्मिनल बेंगलुरु हावड़ा, दिस, तो 3 ट्रेन्स बेसिकली कोलाइडेड ऑन दैट डे, ठीक है, आप सबको पता है, on the evening of June 2. But the key question here is that many panelists have failed to address convincingly, bearing the familiar platitudes is about how the Indian Railways can work to ensure that such catastrophes are never repeated. So of course majority of the debates जब आप देखते हो टीवी पे तो यही देखने को मिलता है, ब्लेम गेम चल रहा है, एक पार्टी दूसरे को ब्लेम कर रही है, इवन कि जो वहाँ पर डिस्कशन डिबेट चल रही है दैट इज़ नॉट ऑफ अ गुड क्वालिटी, just blame game, and many people are talking about what actually happened, about the accidents and not about the measures, safety measures or the future actions that it can be taken to ensure that such kind of accidents doesn't take place in future, fine. So here is what through this paragraph Mr. Mani is mentioning. So let us, first of all he is giving the possible causes and we have already seen what cause has been given by, what is the reason given by even our honorable minister for railway Shri Ashwini Vaishnav ji, ठीक है. So possible causes क्या हो सकती है? First, according to him, a recap of what happened. Broadly, the interlocking of signals and routes through a series of railways and logic gates ensures that a train is guided by signals to. हुआ क्या उस दिन, सिंपल सी बात बताता हूँ आपको. Suppose this is a perfect place for, let us say this is a straight railway track. एक ट्रेन यहाँ से ऐसे जा रही थी, ठीक है, एंड यहाँ पे सीधी उसने जानी थी, बट हुआ क्या कि उसको ग्रीन सिग्नल मिल चुका था, मीन्स ड्राइवर बिल्कुल ठीक था, अपनी गाड़ी को सही डायरेक्शन में लेके जा रहा था, बट हुआ क्या, इंस्टेड ऑफ गोइंग स्ट्रेट वे ये ट्रेन आपकी इधर चली जाती है साइड ट्रैक पे जहाँ पे आपकी एक मालगाड़ी खड़ी थी और जाके इस पे चढ़ जाती है, ठीक है. दैट वाज अ मेजर यू कैन से फेलियर एक्सीडेंट. उसके बाद तीसरी गाड़ी आती है और वो भी भिड़ जाती है इसी में, ठीक है. अब यहाँ पे भिड़ गई तो ये जो सामने वाली गाड़ी दूसरी साइड से आ रही है वो भी इन दोनों के बीच में कोलाइड हो जाती है, ठीक है. सो दिस वाज व्हाट एक्चुअली हैपेंड दैट डे, फाइन. नाउ अब ये ऐसे गाड़ी साइड में मालगाड़ी खड़ी थी, ये यहाँ से सीधे जाने के बजाय ऐसे चली गई, ये क्यों हुआ, दैट इज द एक्चुअल रीजन वी नीड टू फाइंड आउट. एंड इसके पीछे रीजन ये दिया गया कि दैट वाज बिकॉज ऑफ इंटरलॉकिंग ऑफ सिग्नल्स, फाइन, इंटरलॉकिंग ऑफ सिग्नल्स, की जो सिग्नल्स थे एक दूसरे ट्रैक पे वो अपने आप से इंटरलॉक हो गए. अब कैसे हुए, क्या हुआ, दैट अ मैटर ऑफ फाइंडिंग्स, ठीक है. ओके, चलो. So in this case this interlocking of signals were overridden by manual intervention, fine. So कहते हैं कि manual intervention हुई, उसकी वजह से इस interlocking of signals को override कर दिया गया, ठीक है. We also have 2 causes. In the first, it was most likely done by a signal maintainer who has access to the equipment hut or relay room, who may have been cutting corners to expedite his maintenance work so that the running train is not affected. Or the second instance में ये हो सकता है कि Indian Railways seems to believe it is the handiwork of a saboteur with criminal intention to cause an accident. So दो पर्सपेक्टिव हैं इसके, कि एक ये हो सकता है कि जो सिग्नल मेंटेन कर रहा था, मेंटेनियर था, उसके लेवल पे कुछ जिसके पास एक एक्सेस भी है, who may have been cutting corners to expedite his maintenance work so that the running train is not affected, fine. So एक जो इशू है वो मेंटेनियर जो ऑफिशियली रेलवे का है उसके लेवल पे हो सकता है, मैनुअली इश्यूज हो सकती हैं, और दूसरे लेवल पे किसी कोई एंटी एलिमेंट इन्वॉल्व हो सकता है जिसने जानबूझ के ये क्रिमिनल एक्ट किया हो. So the Odisha train accident is now a subject of double investigation. The first statutory proved by the Commissioner of Rail Safety, and second by the Central Bureau of Investigation. So Central Bureau of Investigation, of course, will look after more of this second cause or second reason, that is criminal involvements. फाइन, क्रिमिनल इंटेंशन के साथ कोई इन्वॉल्वमेंट हुई थी नहीं, तो CBI विल बी टेकिंग केयर मोर ऑफ दिस वन, while Commissioner of Railway Safety will of course investigate about the safety measures and all, equipment and all. So whatever be the findings, जो भी findings आए, it is not premature to examine the question that has been raised above. Okay. So finding चाहे जो भी है, but जो इन्होंने question raise किए हैं, he is saying कि it's not premature to examine those sets of questions. So this in this specific case, the general public finds it quite bewildering that a callous and cavalier signal maintainer, for that matter a criminal, even that can be criminal, can meddle with the system and cause havoc of this magnitude. So general public की perception की बात कर रहे हैं कि सोच सकते हैं जनता कि हाँ भाई एक बंदे की वजह से ये हुआ है, जो मैनुअली उस चीज़ को देख रहा था, उसकी गलती की वजह से इतने बड़े लेवल स्केल पे लोगों की डेथ हुई एंड इंजर्ड हुए. ठीक है. The heart of the interlocking equipment is housed in a central railway room in the main station building, and access to this is just, everything is detailed. Let us say, while tampering with the equipment in this room is possible by the maintainer in conveyance or otherwise with the station master. So he is saying कि ये जो tampering है, this is possible because it is maintained under a central room. So this is possible only and only with the involvement of the respective, उस station master जो वहाँ का होगा उस station का. Fine. So you can say कि another sense he is of course questioning the role of a station master here. Of a criminal acting this way are inconceivable. But कहते कि criminal कोई act हुआ हो इस level पे inconceivable है, समझ से परे है. ठीक है. On the other hand, there are some pieces of remote equipment spread all over a railway station yard which are installed in huts and location boxes, access to which is possible only by the authorized maintainer. So throughout his article, he is, more of focusing his, you can say, or he is labeling more of this accident relating with the failure on the part of the station master and the maintainer, means manual, at the manual level, not at the signal automatic in automatic sense or any criminal involvement. The possibility of tampering are greater in such locations. Reportedly in this case it was the equipment in one such hut which was alleged to have been assessed and meddled with in this case. So this is what he is alleging. It is not out of place to mention that the system of protecting sensitive signaling equipment is not unique to India. Something similar, if not less stringent, is prevalent even in advanced rail systems abroad. So such kind of system prevails, is there not just in India, means sensitive equipment है उसको protect करना and all, but even across the developed nations. How do you deal with a scenario in which the authorized maintainer himself, this is what focus here, कि how do you deal with a scenario in which the authorized maintainer himself, under pressure to clear a fault expeditiously or to execute in a quick manner regular maintenance so that the running of trains does not suffer, adopts shortcuts, thereby endangering the lives of thousands of passengers. So एक सिनेरियो नरेट करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, कहते हैं कि how do you actually deal with a scenario where a maintainer, let us say, is doing work expeditiously, तेजी से काम कर रहा है, so that कि जो भी trains मूव करने वाली है उस ट्रैक पे उनको टाइमली मूव कराया जाए. बट द थिंग इज कि दिस माइट बी द नोशन कि जो रनिंग ट्रेन्स हैं वो लेट ना हो या डज नॉट सफर, अडॉप्ट शॉर्टकट्स. ठीक है, जल्दी के चक्कर में शॉर्टकट्स अडॉप्ट कर लेते हैं एंड देयर बाय एंडेंजरिंग, पुटिंग द लाइव्स, thousands of lives in danger, fine, or endangering their lives, or that there is a criminal out case mayhem. This is akin to a clever hacker accessing a computerized road traffic signaling system in a busy crossing and fiddling with the conflict resolution module, turning on all the lights in both directions to green and causing a massive crash of vehicles. So it is relating this to a, you can say, this clever hacker, fine, online उसने suppose signals ही hack कर लिया, उसने सारी lights both directions में green कर दिए and दो एक सड़क पे जब दो साइड से गाड़ियाँ आ रही है तो ऑफकोर्स कोलाइड ही करेंगी. सो दिस इज हाउ ही इज नरेटिंग दिस स्टंट्स. Strengthen access to system. Now the solution is strengthen access to systems. Stronger safeguards against such misadventures, whether by the custodian himself or otherwise, may be difficult to build, but it is something that must be pursued with great resolve. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है कि हो सकता है कि ये डिफिकल्ट हो कि जो पोजेशन है इन इक्विपमेंट्स की या अदरवाइज टू बिल्ड, बट इट इज समथिंग दैट मस्ट बी परस्यूड विद ग्रेट रिजॉल्व, बट हमें परस्यू करना पड़ेगा विद ग्रेट रिजॉल्व इन ऑर्डर टू avoid such kind of accidents in future. The provision of double lock system even for remote huts in railway station will certainly cause great inconvenience to implement, increasing the chance of train delays, but is it a great price to pay given the Odisha train accident? Of course, see, whatever price is there for equipment, whatever is there, but you cannot substitute the price of a human life with the price of such equipments and all. Fine, that's very much clear. This is an age of mobile phones and IT applications, and it should be possible to think of a system of multiple digital authorizations to access such equipment without the physical movement of staff other than the maintainers. So ये कहते हैं कि आज के टाइम में जहाँ पे टेक्नोलॉजी इतनी प्रोग्रेसिव है, सो इतनी एडवांस्ड है, वहाँ पे मल्टीपल डिजिटल एक्सेस दी जा सकती है. फाइन, जो भी इसकी अपकीप को देख रहा है to such a sensitive equipment without the physical movement of a staff other than the maintainers. फाइन, कि बिल्कुल ही जो कुछ गिने चुने लोग हैं सिर्फ उनकी एक्सेस हो, और इस एक्सेस को भी इंश्योर किया जा सकता है थ्रू मल्टीपल डिजिटल लेक्चर्स से व्हाट एक्सेस इंस्टेड ऑफ गिविंग मैनुअल डायरेक्शंस. These are the things the inquiry should look into, going beyond merely identifying the culprits. Work towards devising a safer system should actually begin in earnest without waiting for any inquiry reports. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है कि इंक्वायरी में क्या आएगा क्या नहीं आएगा, दैट्स अ थिंग ऑफ फ्यूचर, बट इस टाइम पे हमें पूरी फुल स्विंग में हमें अपनी जो सेफ्टी है उसको इंश्योर करना चाहिए. फाइन, आई हैव कम अक्रॉस सम केसेस ऑफ द मेंटेनियर रिजॉर्टिंग टू शॉर्टकट्स. चलो यहाँ पे ये फर्दर कह रहे हैं कि कुछ शॉर्टकट्स जो लोकल जो वहाँ पे मेंटेन करता है इक्विपमेंट्स की एंड ट्रैक्स की, वो लोग अपनाते हैं शॉर्टकट्स. ह्यूमन नेचर ऐसी है कि हम शॉर्टकट्स अपनाना चाहते हैं, बट ही इज सेइंग कि आई हैव सर्टेन सच काइंड ऑफ एक्सपीरियंसेस, बट let us not go into that. This is just an example to substantiate what he is saying. But he is saying कि whether whoever is involved, even if this was done, let us assume done by a maintainer in shortcuts, let us say, the buck has to stop with the top management of the zone. Of course, see, always you see anywhere higher the this whoever is holding the upper post comes with a higher amount is also liable for higher level of accountability, fine, or responsibility. Fine, so this is what he is saying कि the buck should stop with the top management of the zone, कि जो top managers हैं उस zone के particular उनको accountable किया जाए इस चीज़ के लिए. There is another issue, the larger question of the Indian Railway safety record and the way forward. Now here is more important thing. The larger question is about India's railway safety record. पास्ट में क्या रिकॉर्ड्स हैं रिलेटेड टू रेलवे सेफ्टी एंड द वे फॉरवर्ड. सॉल्यूशन क्या हो सकती है? सो लेट अस लुक एट एक्सीडेंट डेटा. Till decade ago, fatalities caused by railway accidents used to be in the range of 500 plus people every year. But in the last 4 years or so, the number is now less than 50. That's a very good thing. Fine. कि पहले हर साल every year on an average 500 लोग means कि डेथ होती थी, fatalities basically 500 plus people every year. But in the last 4 years, you see the number is now less than 50. ठीक है. Although the Odisha accident has left its imprint on safety statistics, it is important to accept that the general reduction in the accidents rate is a result of some positive actions such as the elimination of unmanned level crossings as well as the improved track renewal and maintenance. So these are the positive things, and this is very much required as well. I mean, he is acknowledging whatever the government has taken the positive steps, and indeed the government has taken positive steps, have improved a lot, especially with respect to railways. You see that in this year's budget, highest budget has been allocated for in the history of India for the railways. So of course government's focus is there, but such kind of issues can happen, can be one-off event, and that too because of either at the stage of maintenance or manual or human error or even technological failures, but we need to ensure that it gets minimized. Fine. Funds are not an issue. Funds कोई issue नहीं है. There lies a lesson. It was William Shakespeare who said strong reasons make strong actions. Yes, this is what we actually always this statement is given to let us say UPSC students to motivate them that if you want to become IAS officer, let us say, but there should be crude reasons that why actually want to pursue this, and always this is a question you find in your interviews or say personality tests, that why actually want to become IAS officer. So whatever the reasons, so stronger the reasons, you will take stronger the actions, fine, for pursuing your goal. This was said by William Shakespeare. Yes, the rail network in India is largely saturated. The number of train services has gone up exponentially and there is a need to fill all vacancies in the safety categories. Safety audits होती हैं, so उसमें भी vacancies हैं. कहते हैं कि जो रेलवे ट्रैक्स है, नेटवर्क है, that has already been saturated, ठीक है, उसमें और मतलब चांसेस नहीं है कि हम फर्दर उसको करें, बट थोड़ी एक्सपेंशन हम कर सकते हैं, बट जितनी अभी है उसकी फुल कैपेसिटी यूटिलाइजेशन हो चुकी है. एंड द नंबर ऑफ ट्रेन सर्विसेज हैज गॉन अप एक्सपोनेंशियली. नाउ इवन यू सी अ चेंजिंग ट्रेंड इन दिस केस. अर्लियर बिफोर दिस गवर्नमेंट used to be every year you see in the railway budgets announcement of new sets of trains, politically motivated announcements per se, fine, but now you see that this government has changed this this fashion of announcing more and more number of trains, and rather the focus is more on safety, renewing of the tracks and coming up with the modern railways like this Vande Bharat and all, fine, and high speed this bullet trains kind of things. So of course you see these are the major positive things which has been taking place in India Railways with respect to railways. So all this makes it even more imperative to focus more on upgradation of track and signaling. Of course these are the basic, you can say, the core issues with the railway, that our focus should be more on the upgradation of track and signaling as well, the signals. The provision of Kavach की हम बात already कर चुके हैं. The indigenous comprehensive signaling system could not have prevented this accident. So this is what he is clearly saying कि even though Kavach नहीं लगा था उन trains पे, but even the Kavach had been there in place on those sets of trains that collided that day, even the Kavach could not have prevented this accident. Clear cut he is saying this thing कि Kavach भी prevent नहीं कर पाता इस major accident को, could not have prevented this accident. Okay, but other aspects of safety do demand faster implementation of Kavach. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है, कर पाता नहीं कर पाता, that is a thing, different thing, but at least हम implement तो करें Kavach system को. This would not only enhance rail safety but also improve the sectional capacity to run more trains. So इससे सिर्फ रेल की सेफ्टी इंप्रूव नहीं होगी, बट इवन हमारी ये भी कैपेसिटी इंप्रूव होगी कि हम ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा और ट्रेन चला पाएँ, ठीक है. While the government having its share of the limelight of following the introduction of more Vande Bharat trains and creating a hype around railway station modernization cannot be grudged, faster execution of track and signaling work is exclusive to this. So he is saying that of course it cannot be a grudge against the government that government is introducing this he is leveraging is a limelight for the government with the coming of the more sets of Vande Bharat trains. You see the launching of number of Vande Bharat trains and creating a hype around railway station modernization cannot be grudged. Faster execution of track and signaling work is exclusive to this. So again his imperative is on the signaling, improving the signaling and upgrading of the railway tracks. Fine. Basic core issues of the Indian Railways, that is railway is currently grappling with these two sets of issues, that is upgradation of tracks and of course modernization or improving the signal mechanism as well. So there is no dearth of funds. The capex investment by the central government in the Indian Railway is at an extraordinarily high. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. What I said initially in the budget announcement, highest budget this time has been allocated for the railway till the history of India. So therefore the least one can ask for is to make the Indian Railway much safer than it is today. So in this article, my friends, the focus is on the safety. Of course, author is suggesting about two major things, which is a core issue of Indian Railway, and Indian Railway currently इस चीज़ को face भी कर रही है, and that is first modernization or upgradation of railway tracks, and second improvement in signaling mechanism alongside the implementation of Kavach, the indigenous built safety, you can say, system. Alongside that, he is saying, of course, the positive things what the government is doing, he has acknowledged that. Alongside that, he is saying the focus today should be more on safety. Of course, the lives matters more than anything else. Fine. So that's it about this article, a very good piece of article, this related to railway safety. Okay, next article we'll be taking up for today's discussion, and that is related to again a very important one, you can say, and that is related to do production linked incentives, that is PLI schemes for manufacturing work. क्या जो PLI scheme government लेके आई है for manufacturing, is it working or it has worked? So let us will be tracing this through this basically economist Arun Kumar is a retired professor of economics at Jawaharlal Nehru University, and Nagesh Kumar is a director of Institute for Studies in Industrial Development. So two writers will keep their views separately. Let us see what they are saying. So Nagesh Kumar ji ने कहा है कि PLI is not a handout. It is a post facto incentive given only when you have delivered the increment output. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. Now PLI है क्या? तो in simple terms PLI ये है कि गवर्नमेंट सपोज आप इंक्रीमेंट का मतलब यहाँ पे मेंशन है इंक्रीमेंटल आउटपुट. सपोज आप पहले 100 यूनिट्स ऑफ कुछ गुड्स प्रोड्यूस करते थे, सपोज 100 यूनिट्स ऑफ आप व्हीकल्स बनाते थे, 2 व्हीलर्स लेटस से. अब क्या हुआ कि अंडर दिस स्कीम यू हैव रजिस्टर्ड योरसेल्फ एंड आफ्टर दिस 100 अब आप प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हो 120 यूनिट्स ऑफ योर 2 व्हीलर्स. ठीक है. सो जो 120 के बीच में गैप है, दैट इज 20 यूनिट्स मोर यू आर प्रोड्यूसिंग, दैट इज बेसिकली योर इंक्रीमेंटल आउटपुट. फाइन, मीन्स आपने आउटपुट को इंक्रीमेंट की आउटपुट में बढ़ाया है कितने से, बाय 20 यूनिट्स. सो गवर्नमेंट इज गोइंग टू give you incentive in the range of 3 to 4%, let us say subsidy on your cost of production for this 20 units, only the incremental output part and not the flat 120 units. Fine, I hope this much is clear. इतना आपको clear है कि जो भी incremental output, जो आप additional output produce करोगे, उस पे आपको government subsidy या incentive देगी under PLI scheme. एंड वो कितनी होगी, 3 से 4% ऑफ योर कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन, जो 20 यूनिट्स को प्रोडक्शन में जो कॉस्ट इन्वॉल्व होगी. ठीक है. आई होप दिस मच क्लियर. सो विद दिस बैकग्राउंड लेट अस स्टार्ट दिस आर्टिकल. इन अ रिसेंट नोट, फॉर्मर RBI गवर्नर Raghuram Rajan questioned the success of the PLI scheme in boosting India's domestic manufacturing and exports. So पर्पस यही था इस स्कीम का कि हमें मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एंड अपने एक्सपोर्ट्स को बूस्ट देना है थ्रू द production link incentive scheme. Now we'll see to what level we have been able in doing achieving this thing. The PLI scheme of course was introduced by the center in 2020. Lakhs of crores of rupees have been allocated towards subsidizing companies that manufacture in India. The center believes that PLI scheme has boosted the domestic manufacturing sector. This is what government believes. It has already boosted the domestic manufacturing sector, but critics have questioned its success. Do PLI scheme for manufacturing work? Now the two sets of people today discuss this question. Fine. So what first question is was asked to question was posed to of course economist Mr. Arun Kumar, retired professor of JNU economics. So what do you think of the policy of subsidizing certain domestic sectors and on the other hand imposing tariffs on imports to favor domestic manufacturers? Okay, so the question is very paradoxical. On the one hand, it is saying that you are subsidizing through the PLI for boosting your exports. On the other hand, you are imposing tariffs in order to curb the imports and favor your domestic manufacturers. Okay, so what Mr. Kumar is saying, globally nations are trying to capture the markets of others by exporting more than what they import. ठीक बात है. So that is what brings us to the question of defending national markets for protecting employment and incomes in the domestic market. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है कि हर कंट्री अपने बारे में पहले सोचती है और सोचेगी भी और सोचना भी चाहिए कि हम कैसे अपने उसको एम्प्लॉयमेंट प्रोवाइड करें एंड how come we can boost our manufacturing sector, because I have time and again repeated that manufacturing sector ही एक ऐसा सेक्टर है जो आपको सस्टेनेबल एम्प्लॉयमेंट, लॉन्ग टर्म एम्प्लॉयमेंट प्रोवाइड कर सकता है. ठीक है. प्लस ही इज सेइंग कि एम्प्लॉयमेंट एंड इनकम इन द डोमेस्टिक मार्केट को प्रोटेक्ट इस तरह से किया जा सकता है एंड देयर कैन बी अ डिफरेंट स्ट्रेटेजी फॉर डूइंग दैट. फाइन. सो अकॉर्डिंग टू मिस्टर कुमार देयर कैन बी डिफरेंट सेट्स ऑफ स्ट्रेटेजी for doing these things, means providing employment and securing the domestic market and increasing the income. Rather than to protect the large scale industries, we need to boost the micro sector. So he's focused majorly on MSMEs. I hope time and again you have come across this. You are aware of micro, small and medium enterprises. So he is saying, in particularly, he is not totally talking about MSME as such, but he is only and only focusing on micro. He is saying that instead of large scale such kind of protection or this incentive or subsidies, we should rather boost the micro sector, which is where the bulk of the employment is, and so that we can generate enough demand in the economy. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. If you see हमारी MSME जो sector है, especially micro and small part, it contributes, MSME as such contributes around 1/3 of GDP, and about same around a good in crores it generates employment as well. So that's why MSME is the backbone for our manufacturing sector. But unfortunately, what is happening in India is the demand is shifting from unorganized to the organized sector. So he is saying कि इंडिया में क्या हो रहा है कि जो डिमांड है फॉर जॉब्स एंड ऑल, इट इज शिफ्टिंग फ्रॉम द अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड टू द ऑर्गेनाइज्ड सेक्टर. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है कि अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड से ऑर्गेनाइज्ड सेक्टर में मींस गवर्नमेंट जॉब्स की ज़्यादा डिमांड बढ़ रही है. यू सी आफ्टर कोविड लोगों को ये बात समझ आ गई है कि क्या चाहिए, ज़िंदगी के साथ भी, ज़िंदगी के बाद भी, ठीक है, LIC जैसी स्कीम चाहिए, तो उसके लिए गवर्नमेंट सर्विसेज ज्वाइन करना ज़रूरी है. दैट्स वाई यू सी द लॉट्स ऑफ कॉम्पिटिशन इन्वॉल्व इन द UPSC टुडे. Fine, you see how many lakhs of people appearing in this exam, because he is recognizing this fact that at present the demand is shifting from unorganized sectors to organized sectors because of the various steps that the government has taken. That has led to the further marginalization and decline of sectors where employment generation is high. So कहते हैं कि इन वजहों से गवर्नमेंट ने कुछ स्टेप्स लिए जिसकी वजह से अनऑर्गेनाइज से ऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर की तरफ शिफ्टिंग हो रही है, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट इट हैज़ फर्दर लेड टू द मार्जिनलाइजेशन ऑफ दिस अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर एंड द डिक्लाइन ऑफ सेक्टर वेयर एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन इज हाई. सो इन सेंस व्हाट वी फेस टुडे इज शॉर्टेज ऑफ डिमांड and economic slowdown, and that should be the number one priority to be dealt with. So he is in crux, he is saying that major issue today is the shortage of demand and the economic slowdown and therefore economic slowdown for our economy, and he is saying that this should be the number one priority for us at present. Now Mr. both are Kumars, okay, so Mr. Nagesh Kumar now, earlier it was Arun Kumar, so Professor Arun Kumar. So now this Mr. Nagesh Kumar, what's his opinion? He is saying there are core sectors of course we have 8 core sectors that have high externalities or multipliers for other economic activity. If you begin by investing in or developing certain core sectors, it will help in propelling development at large. Fine. So he is saying, like Mr. Arun Kumar said, Professor Arun Kumar said, कि focus should be on micro segment of the economy, but he is saying the focus should be in the core sectors, that is 8 core sectors we have. In the past we had the policy of promoting such industries like machine tools, which was considered as the core sector. In the current context, one could think about semiconductor industry or the electric vehicles industry as a core sector, which will help in fostering industrialization. So he is moving beyond just 8 core sectors. Today he is talking about that even the cores can be referred to, or core sectors can be referred to, like let us say semiconductor industry can also be treated as a core sector, or even we can refer to the core sector, even electric vehicles, जहाँ पे हमारा focus भी EVs. So these are the kinds of policies which are found in different countries. Fine. So his focus, Arun Kumar is focusing on micro sectors, unorganized sectors, and Mr. Nagesh Kumar focus is on the core sectors. Fine. And not just 8 core sectors, the conventional 8 sectors, but rather he is adding to the semiconductor industry and even electric vehicles segment under core sectors. Now the second question is, how exactly do you go about subsidizing certain sectors, given that the process of doling out subsidies involves discretion and is prone to cronyism? Cronyism is very much related to this set of capitalism, let us say, that is a nexus between private players, let us say, and private sector, capitalist class, corporate sector, let us say. So nexus between corporates, bureaucrats and the politicians. Fine. So the question is about that subsidy अगर आप दे रहे हो तो subsidy is a matter of discretion and is prone to such cronyism. ठीक है, of course subsidy is a matter of discretion. हो सकता है गवर्नमेंट किसी कंपनी को दे किसी को ना दे, fine, depends on the kind of sets of mechanism or eligibility criteria and all conditionalities. So NK, that is Mr. Nagesh Kumar says that targeting is very important. When you decide to incentivize certain industries, targeting is very important, that to which industry you are going to dole out or give subsidies. Government typically targets certain strategic sectors which have huge potential. These days, looking at the future of sustainability consideration, there are huge emphasis on green industries. So of course, governments can subsidize green industries, and so this is one set of industry which will have a booming demand because every country is committed to net zero goals, and we are also committed to net zero by 2070. The US government has put on the table $720 billion to be distributed either as a subsidies or incentive to companies. Now let us see. 720 billion की provision की है US government ने for grant distributing as a subsidy or incentive to the such companies, especially those sets of industrial companies working in the field of green tech and green sectors. So which will manufacture high tech equipment such as semiconductors, green hydrogen and electric vehicles, the future technology. So there is an intense competition between countries. Industrialization and manufacturing don't happen in a vacuum in this globally integrated world. So we need to be watchful of what other governments are doing and develop our own strategies accordingly. So बिल्कुल ठीक बात है कि हमें इस बात को ध्यान रखने की ज़रूरत है कि अदर कंट्रीज़ क्या कर रही हैं उन सिमिलर स्केल्स, उसी लेवल उस हिसाब से हमें भी अपनी स्ट्रेटजीज़ को बनाना है. ठीक है. Now next question is again, now this question has been addressed first by Mr. Arun Kumar, Professor Arun Kumar, that why exactly do you need a scheme that spends lakh of crore of rupees for taxpayers money to subsidize businesses? Why can't business simply be left to cater to the market demand without the help of subsidies? So this question again important question is related to कि ज़रूरत ही क्या है corporate sector को subsidy देने की? Even corporate sector can take care of itself. Fine. Taxpayers की इतनी money को as in the form of subsidy देने की ज़रूरत ही क्या है? So Mr. Professor Kumar first says that at the macro level, PLI is a freebie to the corporate sector. So he is saying that PLI is a kind of freebie to the this corporate sector. Freebie, कुछ भी फ्री में. फॉर एग्जाम्पल ये काफ़ी चर्चा में था वर्ड, हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने भी इस पर बोला था. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल आज के टाइम में फैशन चल रहा है कि हर पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज मेजॉरिटी ऑफ देम granting promising things like free में हम आपको टीवी देंगे, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी देंगे, वाटर देंगे, fine, all this free and everything free, fine. So that's why it's a freebie to the corporate sector, and it is based on the idea of supply side economics. So he is saying that government is giving this because the focus is it is based on the notion of supply side economics. Of course, because corporate के दे रहे हैं तो we are focusing on the production side. So production side is nothing but the supply side, fine. Which means that we give incentive to the private sector to produce, but this will not work when demand is short. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. So basic जो हमारी economy की issue है इंडियन economy की, I have time and again said that our economy is basically driven by private demand and और household demand, जैसे हम लोग demand करते हैं, household demand और private demand and पब्लिक इन्वेस्टमेंट. गवर्नमेंट मेजरली इन्वेस्ट करती है, बट इसको चेंज करने की ज़रूरत है. एंड वी आर वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट मार्केट्स, दैट्स व्हाई न्यू सेट्स ऑफ कंपनीज इंडिया में आना चाहती हैं, आ भी रही हैं. सो मार्केट है बट परचेजिंग पावर है कि नहीं ये भी देखना पड़ेगा. पर कैपिटा इनकम की लेवल क्या है हमारी. सो डिमांड तभी क्रिएट होगी, एंड इफ डिमांड इज अ प्रॉब्लम दिस पॉलिसीज विल नॉट डिलीवर. सो ही इज सेइंग द बेसिक इशू इज विद द शॉर्टेज ऑफ डिमांड, जो कि इन्होंने फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन को एड्रेस करते हुए भी बोला था, शॉर्टेज ऑफ डिमांड. As we are seeing currently, our rate of growth is tending to stagnate. Okay, so he's saying economic growth somewhere stagnant हो रही है. As a result, even before the pandemic, our rate of growth declined quarter on quarter for 8 quarters. So कहते हैं कि pandemic तो चलो था ही, but उससे पहले भी 8 quarters में हमारी GDP जो है वो negatively grow करी है, means growth fall हुई है, and that growth fell from 8% to 3.1%. So इतनी ज़्यादा नुकसान before क्वार्टरली बेस पे हमारी पैंडेमिक से पहले ही हो चुकी थी. नाउ टू बूस्ट डिमांड व्हाट यू नीड टू डू इज रिड्यूस इनइक्वालिटीज. ओके, सो इन्होंने शॉर्टेज ऑफ डिमांड की बात करी, अलॉन्ग साइड ही इज गिविंग सॉल्यूशन एज वेल कि अगर डिमांड को बढ़ाना है तो हम उसको कैसे बढ़ा सकते हैं. So to boost demand, what you need to do is reduce inequalities. Inequality जो society में इंडिया में बहुत ज़्यादा है, because in our country 1% of the richer section holds around 69-70% of almost this wealth. Fine. So this is the level of inequality, so that the demand for mass consumption items will give a boost to the economy as a whole. And कि richer section की जो MPC है, marginal propensity to consume, वो कम होती है compared to the poor section, because already उनकी basic necessities fulfilled हो चुकी होती हैं. Now they are dealing in the luxuries. ठीक है. So उसकी भी एक saturation point है. So जिसकी basic necessities fulfilled नहीं है, demand तो ज़्यादा करेगा ना. जिसके पास घर नहीं है, घर की जरूरत उसको है, जिसके पास 4 घर है, वो क्यों demand करेगा 5वें घर की? वैसे लोग करते हैं. ठीक है. So that's altogether different thing. So demand is a structural problem. कुछ structural problems economy में होती हैं, which is inherent to the structure of the economy itself, or coming up over the from the long time, persisting from a long time. So in the bulk of PLI is focusing on the organized sector, in which employment generation is very little because of automation. So basic he is saying कि PLI का जो focus है वो organized sector पे है, and organized sector since because of automation already suffer कर रही है, because वहाँ पे employment generation कम है. So what we need, हमें किस चीज़ की ज़रूरत है? To do is create good employment data. सबसे पहले तो data भाई ठीक हो. While there are 320 million Indians who have proper employment, 270 million Indians don't. So 320 millions means 32 करोड़ लोग ऐसे हैं जिसके पास proper employment है, but 27 करोड़ लोग ऐसे हैं जिनके पास क्या employment नहीं है. ठीक है. And that's why there is low demand in the economy. So अगर आपके पास employment ही नहीं है, job ही नहीं है, तो सही सी बात, बिल्कुल ठीक बात है कि पैसा ही जब कमा नहीं रहे हो तो डिमांड कहाँ से करोगे? सीधी सी बात है. सो डिमांड नहीं करोगे तो इकोनॉमी में डिमांड नहीं होगा. डिमांड नहीं होगा तो रैशनल प्रोड्यूसर फैक्ट्री और चीज़ें प्रोड्यूस नहीं करेगा. प्रोड्यूस नहीं करेगा तो भाई इकोनॉमी चलेगी नहीं, सर्कुलेशन में कुछ हो ही नहीं रहा है, ना मनी घूम रही है ना प्रोडक्ट्स घूम रहे हैं. ठीक है. सो दिस इज हाउ द प्रॉब्लम इज फ्रॉम बेसिकली द डिमांड साइड. की डिमांड जब होती है इकोनॉमी में तो सामने वाला प्रोड्यूसर भी टेम्पटेड होता है कि भाई प्रोड्यूस करना है, बिकॉज प्रॉफिट के चांसेस बेटर है लेट अस से, और हमारी प्रोडक्ट्स मार्केट में बिकेंगे. द अदर स्ट्रक्चर प्रॉब्लम, दिस इज द फर्स्ट प्रॉब्लम, दैट इज शॉर्टेज ऑफ डिमांड. द अदर स्ट्रक्चर प्रॉब्लम इज that needs to be highlighted, he is saying, is the inadequacy of research and development. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. वर्ल्ड में अगर आप रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट में हमारी जीडीपी की अगर आप एक्सपेंडिचर देखो तो बहुत ही कम है, बहुत ही कम. इट मीन्स we just spend around 0.6% of our GDP, in this range of 0.6%, 7%, not 7% but 0.5 to 6% only. ठीक है. जबकि साउथ कोरिया, यूएस कहीं कहीं 25% of somewhere 5 to 7%, even 10%. Even China spend more than 3 times than us, even 5 times. So of course we need to work in this area as well. Imports deter local R&D. कहते हैं कि import जो है वो local R&D को बढ़ावा नहीं देते, उसको रोकते हैं. ऑफ कोर्स अगर बाहर से आप अच्छी गाड़ियाँ मंगा रहे हो तो इंडिया में कौन होगा जो रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट करेगा कि हाँ भाई पहले मार्केट भी तो चाहिए, डिमांड भी तो चाहिए. सो अगर डिमांड होगी, मार्केट होगी, तभी तो कोई टेम्पटेड होगा, खास करके प्राइवेट इन्वेस्टर और प्रोड्यूसर की और रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट पे भी फोकस करें, इन्वेस्ट करें. समझ रहे हो? तो इंपोर्ट इस चीज़ को डिटर करती है. वी हैव बीन फेसिंग दिस प्रॉब्लम फॉर द लास्ट 50-60 ईयर्स. ओके. इंडिया इन्वेस्ट मच लेस देन व्हाट मोस्ट डायनामिक इकोनॉमीज स्पेंड ऑन R&D. बिल्कुल एक्सेप्टेबल फैक्ट है. जैसे मैंने आपको बताया, इंडियन बिजनेसेस स्पेंड लेस देन अदर्स बिकॉज इन्वेस्टमेंट इन R&D इज वेरी रिस्की. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. So that condition that need to be created are to lower the risk of investment in R&D. So this is a solution he is providing for the R&D investment. But what's happening is that we repeatedly import technologies rather than build internal strength. This is where actually we differ from China. ठीक है? Instead of building indigenous technologies or improving our inner strength, we are up till now our focus has been more on importing. Fine. So with imports, of course, it deters our local R&D. So this has been again a kind of a structural issues, and that is what has characterized the various sectors in the economy even after 1991. So ये सिर्फ एक सेक्टर पर्टिकुलर नहीं, सब सेक्टर के साथ भी यही हाल था. Even after 1991, these problems need to be tackled before PLI scheme can really deliver. So ये कहते हैं कि पहले जो हमारे स्ट्रक्चरल इश्यूज हैं अगर उस पर हम काम कर लें, ग्राउंड तैयार कर लें, तो PLI स्कीम कोई बुरी नहीं है, पर PLI तभी काम करेगी जब हम शॉर्टेज ऑफ डिमांड जो है उसको ठीक करें, R&D पे इन्वेस्टमेंट जो हमारी इन्वेस्टमेंट बहुत कम है, उसको हम दुरुस्त करें, उस पर हम काम करें, उस पर मोर ऑफ इन्वेस्ट करें, ठीक है, प्राइवेट सेक्टर को बूस्ट दें, फाइन। एंड जो इम्पोर्ट है वो डेटर करती है R&D को और डोमेस्टिक प्रोडक्शन को, तो कहीं ना कहीं टैरिफ जो गवर्नमेंट लगा रही है इम्पोर्ट पे, तो दिस इज टू अ सर्टेन एक्सटेंट जस्टिफाइज एज वेल, इनडायरेक्टली यू कैन से। ओके, द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज, don't you think the basic problem with the manufacturing sector is bureaucratic control? If so, don't we need to address that problem rather than subsidizing companies? Okay, ये क्वेश्चन हमारी ब्यूरोक्रेसी से रिलेटेड है। यहाँ पे ये पूछा गया है कि क्या आप ये नहीं सोचते हो कि जो बेसिक प्रॉब्लम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर के साथ है दैट इज अबाउट ब्यूरोक्रेटिक कंट्रोल? फाइन, इफ सो डोंट वी नीड टू एड्रेस दैट प्रॉब्लम रेदर देन सब्सिडाइजिंग कंपनीज? सो क्या ये इस लेवल पे आवश्यकता नहीं है, ज़रूरत नहीं है कि हम उस प्रॉब्लम को एड्रेस करें दैट इज ब्यूरोक्रेटिक कंट्रोल रिलेटेड जो इश्यूज हैं, इंस्टेड ऑफ प्रोवाइडिंग सब्सिडीज, फाइन, टू द कंपनीज? So what Mr. Nagesh Kumar says, it is very clear that we need to address the structural issues, fine. Infrastructure has to be fixed, the quality of education has to be improved at all levels, R&D investment have to be enhanced, बिल्कुल ठीक बात है। He says that I think one issue which Professor Arun Kumar raised is that there is a problem of demand, बिल्कुल ठीक बात है। He says I think there are demand problems, but for the strategic industries that are being targeted under PLI, demand is not an issue. Now he is refuting the Mr. Arun Kumar's statement of shortage of demand. He is saying since beginning, let us say, is focused on the strategic side of the industries or the PLI scheme. For example, semiconductor industry, highly strategic sector today. You know, it has become, you know, one of the most you know, discussed topic among you know, today's global geopolitics, of course. So semiconductor, he is one of the strategic sector where demand is actually not the problem. Of course, it is an evolving industry where demand is not such an issue at present. It depends on whether the two you know, sets of this persons focusing basically, ठीक है? I want to emphasize this because we are meeting our demand, whatever it is, through imports. कहते कि कुछ भी है हम अपने डिमांड्स को मीट कर पा रहे हैं इवन थ्रू इंपोर्ट्स. सो देयर इज एन एग्जिस्टिंग डिमांड विच इज नॉट बीइंग कैटर्ड टू by local production. So he is saying कि the issue is with the local production. डिमांड है इकोनॉमी में, उसको अगर हम इंपोर्ट्स के थ्रू मीट करें, सो वी कैन नॉट से कि डिमांड नहीं है. डिमांड तो है, हम डिमांड नो जनता डिमांड कर रही है, बट द इशू इज वी आर नॉट प्रोड्यूसिंग दैट लेवल ऑफ गुड क्वालिटी प्रोडक्ट्स. सो द इशू इज विद द प्रोडक्शन साइड and supply side, that is, and not with the demand side. This is what he is saying. There are projections that by 2025 also we might be importing $400 billion of electronics every year. So this is what giving up data. Why are we importing? This is what he is questioning, the importing. Imports. Even Mr. Arun Kumar at point said that imports deter investment in local R&D. So this is when we can manufacture. So he is saying that instead of importing this much of what the goods, we can rather manufacture it domestically. So there is a ready demand waiting to be exploited for some of these industry in the country. For the rest of the industries, we need to provide a demand stimulus. So he is saying, apart from strategic sectors, for example semiconductors, EVs and all, the new core sectors is associating with, कि इनके लिए तो चलो हमें प्रोडक्शन एंड PLI की ज़रूरत है ही है, बट हमारे लिए अभी ये भी ज़रूरी है कि अदर रेस्ट ऑफ द इंडस्ट्रीज जो है, फाइन, लेट अस कोर इंडस्ट्रीज हैं, वो इंडस्ट्रीज में हम इंपोर्ट इतना ज़्यादा नहीं कर रहे हैं. सो उस केस में वी नीड डिमांड स्टिमुलस. वहाँ पे हमें डिमांड साइड को बूस्ट करने की ज़रूरत है और स्ट्रेटेजिक सेक्टर्स में हमें सप्लाई साइड को बूस्ट करने की ज़रूरत है, ठीक है, थ्रू PLI इंसेंटिव्स. द अदर थिंग इज रिगार्डिंग PLI being a freebie offer to companies. We need to keep in mind that the context of industrialization has changed since 1991. जो आर्गूमेंट मिस्टर प्रोफेसर अरुण कुमार ने दिया था कि PLI is more like a freebie which is being offered to the private sector or the companies, he is saying कि हमें इस चीज़ को ध्यान में रखना है कि in mind that the context of industrialization जो है that has been changed since 1991 new economic policy reforms. Today we are talking of a globally open and integrated economy. Every investor, whether domestic or foreign, looks at whether other governments are giving bigger subsidies, and if so, investment will simply flow there. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है कि today we are living in a globalized village. Every major economy has been integrated, and अगर किसी प्रोड्यूसर को ये लगता है, इन्वेस्टर को ये लगता है कि भाई अमेरिका ज़्यादा आपको सब्सिडी दे रहा है, तो that producer will like to set up factory in US and not in India. So this is again a matter of competition between the governments, that who is providing or granting how much of subsidies. So इस केस में हमें कुछ तो देना ही पड़ेगा, अदरवाइज कोई आएगा क्यों, सिंपल सी बात है. So if you don't put in some effort towards promotion, facilitation and incentivization of the investment, we might as well forget about those investments. So कहते हैं कि अगर हम ऐसा नहीं करेंगे तो हो सकता है कि हमें उस टाइप की इन्वेस्टमेंट आए ही ना हमारे यहाँ, या हमें बोलना पड़ सकता है. So PLI is not a handout. It is a post facto incentive given when you have delivered to the incremental output. So ये कहते हैं कि it's not a handout or freebie, rather it's a post facto, means once you produce, so after that you get a incentive on your incremental output. That what I initially starting with this very article I explained you कि incremental output पे कैसे ये PLI scheme apply होती है. ठीक है. So once you have delivered the incremental output, only then do these incentives comes to you. So it cannot be labeled as freebie. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको पहले ही दे दिया जाता है फिर आप प्रोड्यूस करते हो. No, it's a vice versa. पहले आप प्रोड्यूस करते हो गुड्स, फिर आपको गवर्नमेंट देती है इंसेंटिव. फाइन. So this is other way round. Okay, moving to next, the final concluding remarks of this Professor Arun Kumar. He says PLI basically is a subsidy, and given the lack of political accountability in our system, what we find is that there's a large amount of cronyism. वही this capitalist cronyism की बात कर रहे हैं, and the bureaucratic approach that you were referring to needs to be relaxed. Okay. कहते हैं कि we find that there is a large amount of cronyism है हमारे यहाँ, undeniable fact, and the bureaucratic approach that needs to be referring to needs to be relaxed. इनको कम करने की ज़रूरत है, थोड़ी relaxation देने की ज़रूरत है. Which companies and which sectors get the subsidy and which get the priority then is influenced by cronyism to a large extent in the Indian context. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. Further, subsidies need to be distinguished. A general subsidy is one that is necessitated by the macro situation of the economy, whereas a specific subsidy is given to the sectors or to companies and are based on the micro level decisions. So कहते हैं कि हमें दो सेट्स ऑफ सब्सिडीज़ के टाइप्स में डिफरेंस करने की ज़रूरत है. एक होती है जनरल सब्सिडीज़ जो आप मैक्रो लेवल पे दे रहे हो इकोनॉमी में, एक होती है स्पेसिफिक सब्सिडीज जो आप माइक्रो लेवल पे किसी पर्टिकुलर सेक्टर या किसी पर्टिकुलर इंडस्ट्री को दे रहे हो. ठीक है, फॉर प्रोड्यूसिंग अ पर्टिकुलर सेट ऑफ गुड्स. In the case of the latter, that is in the case of a specific subsidy, cronyism could play an important role there, which is not necessarily an efficient thing to happen. In the case of former, that is general subsidy, the bigger issue become employment, living conditions, etc. So of course the issues varies from this typology of subsidy. Subsidy often necessitates high indirect taxes, and because of high indirect taxes, cost and prices rise. When this happens, subsidy become necessary for exports and for the poor. ठीक है. So कहते हैं कि सब्सिडी की वजह से indirect taxes raise होते हैं. Indirect taxes are regressive in nature. So इसलिए होता क्या है कि इसके बदले में फिर सब्सिडी देनी पड़ती है किसको, exporters को, and alongside poor section of the society को. Therefore, these are the issues that need to be looked at before we think about what we do for industries that have the technology and the capability to supply goods in the market on their own. Now indirect taxes tend to be regressive, so those at the bottom need to be supported by subsidies. So what we need to do is have living wages. ठीक है. So he is saying instead of rolling out the money or subsidy to the private corporates who have the might or wealth to do the same, rather focus should be on the poorest class, or rather we should have some mechanism for living wages, fine, like minimum wages for the poor section, so that this can also add to or boost our demand in the economy. When there is a demand, of course the producer will be tempted to produce more, but the notion of these two authors varies from where they are actually focusing. Mr. Arun Kumar, for example, focusing on the you can say micro issues, unorganized sector, poor section of the society. Mr. Nagesh Kumar is focusing on the core sectors that he has labeled as, for example, semiconductors, especially is talking about the strategic sectors which are evolving. For example, semiconductor sector, which is still in infancy stage, and of course that sectors need to be given to be incentivized, because other countries are also doing the same. For example, US has made a provision for $720 billion for semiconductor, green technology and EVs. So of course we cannot be left behind, otherwise investors would like to invest more in US than in India. Fine. So this is a matter of globalized economy, interactions among the global economies. Alongside that, at the same time, we need to be mindful of the competition that is going on between the countries, fine, because we are living in an integrated world, fine. So whole argument rests on where the two sets of authors focusing, fine. Moving to the next pages. As I said, there are many important articles today. So इसके बारे में हम पहले भी बात कर चुके हैं कि cyclones effect on monsoon onset. So 2-3 दिन पहले हमने बात की थी कि IMD ये प्रेडिक्ट कर रहा है कि इस बार की जो मानसून है, जैसे हमने फर्स्ट पेज पे देखा कि ऑलरेडी सेट इन हो चुका है, बट अ वीक ऑफ डिले इन केरला, ठीक है. सो साइक्लोन है, इफेक्ट कर सकता है मानसून ऑनसेट को, किस तरह से वो हम इसमें देखेंगे. सो ग्लोबल वार्मिंग इफेक्ट, global warming effects on cyclogenesis, that is generation of cyclones over the Pacific and North Indian Oceans, the warming over the North Indian Oceans and the late pre-monsoon cyclones. Late pre-monsoon cyclones and typhoons are another monkey wrench in the monsoon's dynamics, apart from what already been predicted and in the prediction of the monsoon's onset and its evolution through the season. So see, earlier we were talking about ki El Nino is going to set, have its records this time on the monsoons. Then further I talked about the Indian Ocean dipole, even is going to be, IMD has predicted it to be positive. So IMD positive IOD to a certain extent can neutralize the impact of your El Nino impact on the monsoon, which has been already delayed by a week, and onset which was noticed yesterday in Kerala. So apart from that, the new dynamics which is taking place is we are expecting the onsetting of the cyclones as well, fine, generation of cyclones as well. So that is what today is being explained on this explainer page, and let us just understand this. So firstly, the background, the impact of global warming on the monsoons are manifest in its onset. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. अगर मानसून लेट ऑनसेट हो रहा है, सपोज एक हफ्ता लेट से केरला में आए, तो उसके पीछे भी तो ग्लोबल रीजंस होंगे कुछ, और उसमें से एक मेजर रीजन है ग्लोबल वार्मिंग और क्लाइमेट चेंज. Withdrawal, seasonal total rainfall and extremes. Global warming also affects the cyclones over the Indian Ocean and the typhoons over the northwestern Pacific Oceans. So even typhoons are basically cyclones, my friends. It's just the difference in names. There to cyclones we call typhoons, especially in the northwestern Pacific Oceans. ठीक है, so इस चीज़ को ध्यान रखना. See, cyclonic things has been painted well. Okay. The winds over the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal at 3:15 p.m. on Thursday, previously reliable, the monsoon trough is now being kicked around in game of climate change football. Okay, very well painted or very well picturized. We are seeing cyclone formation in pre-monsoon cyclone season, closer to the monsoon onset. कहते हैं कि हम ऐसा देख रहे हैं कि pre-monsoon cyclones onset taking place or cyclone formation taking place. Closer to the monsoon onset, जैसे अभी monsoon onset होने वाला था, तो इससे बिल्कुल इसके closely ही, arguably due to the influence of warmer Arctic Ocean on the winds over the Arabian Sea. So this is happening because of the warmer Arctic Ocean, fine, which is influencing the wind, or you can say the currents over the Arabian Sea. The monsoon is of course also affected by the 3 tropical oceans. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है कि monsoon जो है, especially जो इंडियन मानसून की बात करें, साउथ वेस्ट मानसून की, सो इस टाइम पे इट इज जनरली बीइंग अफेक्टेड बाय 3 काइंड ऑफ ट्रॉपिकल ओशंस. ट्रॉपिकल ओशंस वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, दोज आर लाइज अराउंड इक्वेटर्स. सो इंडियन, Atlantic and Pacific, these 3 sets of tropical oceans basically has effect on or influence on the onset of southwest monsoon or Indian monsoons. The atmospheric bridge from the Arctic and the oceanic tunnel, as well as the atmospheric bridge from the southern ocean, aka the Antarctica Ocean. ठीक है, so of course Antarctica को also referred to as a southern ocean, fine. So here these 3 oceans, primarily the tropical oceans, Indian, Atlantic and Pacific, of course, so this has been referred to as the atmospheric bridge from the Arctic and the oceanic tunnel. So one is set of bridge from the Arctic side, atmospheric bridge from the Arctic Ocean. The other is a oceanic tunnel. This has been labeled as oceanic tunnel, that is from as well as the atmospheric bridge from the southern ocean, that is Antarctica Ocean. Chalo ji. So a bridge refers to here, what does bridge mean here? refers to two far away regions interacting in the atmosphere, while tunnel refers to two remote oceanic regions connecting within the ocean. So bridge जो यहाँ पे phrase use किया atmospheric bridge and tunnel की बात की atmospheric tunnel की. So what are these two things? Bridge basically has been labeled here as the two faraway regions like Antarctica, like Atlantic Ocean and Indian Ocean, or Atlantic Ocean or Southern Ocean, let us say. Two faraway regions, दूर दराज की दो regions की बात कर रहे हैं interaction की, and tunnel की बात कर रहे हैं in the sense two remote oceanic regions connecting within the ocean. दो ऐसे remote ocean की बात कर रहे हैं जो आपस में connect कर रहे हैं एक दूसरे को with the local sets of within the ocean. ठीक है, within the same ocean can be the two remote oceanic regions. For example, within an Indian Ocean, within an Arctic Ocean, within a Pacific Ocean. So why does cyclone's position matter? Now cyclone position matter क्यों करती है भाई first place में? So some cyclones in North Indian Ocean have had both positive and negative impacts on the onset of the monsoon. So दोनों ही effect हैं, positive भी and negative भी. चलो जी. Since the circulation of winds around the cyclones is in the anti-clockwise direction, the location of the cyclone is critical as far as the cyclone's impact on the transition of the monsoon trough is concerned. So you know that cyclone is nothing but a low pressure area, and cyclones basically in the north and south, southern this hemisphere, of course, they move in a opposite direction, and especially in the northern Indian Ocean or northern hemisphere, let us say they move in a anti-clockwise direction in north, and in southern ocean in clockwise. Okay, so this much keep in mind. Further, it also impacts the transition of monsoon trough. Fine. The monsoon trough is what? It's simply a low pressure region that is characteristic feature of the monsoons. Of course, low pressure area, high temperature, and that's what generates the cyclonic system. So for example, if a cyclone lies further north in trajectory over the Bay of Bengal, trajectory of the Bay of Bengal was due to the what? Unusual anticyclones, because of unusual anticyclones which rotate clockwise. Of course, cyclones rotate your anti-clockwise, and anticyclones rotate clockwise. Fine, in the same let us say northern direction, and the opposite would be the direction of clockwise anti-clockwise in the southern part. So there have been packed over the Arabian Ocean and the Bay of Bengal since March. Mocha dissipated on May 15, and the back winds helped the monsoon set in on time over the Andaman and Nicobar. ठीक है, so back winds keep pushing, finally resulting in the onsetting of monsoon on time over the Andaman and Nicobar by May 15. One severe consequence of this anomalous anticyclone since Mocha is since March is that both the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal have warmed by more than 1 degree Celsius. So one severe consequence of this anomalous anticyclone that developed in over this Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea was that it warmed the temperature of these two Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal water bodies by more than 1% in the pre-monsoon season. Means अगर temperature बढ़ गया means high temperature low pressure area, means it is a very favorable situation for generation of cyclones. ठीक है, the late season cyclone Biperjoy is still chugging along in the warm Arabian Sea and may well rapidly intensify. So अभी भी इस dynamics की वजह से warming of the oceans अभी भी ये chance है कि ये rapidly intensify होए, and it can lead to again a formation of a cyclone. That is, have its wind speed increased by 55 km/h within 24 hours before making landfall. So Mawar, Biperjoy and Gukol, these are the different names. So cyclone Biperjoy is not interacting much with the monsoon trough at this time. ठीक है, जो आपकी Biperjoy है cyclones, remember these are the names of cyclones. Sometimes UPSC just ask Mawar, Biperjoy and Gukol was in news related to which among the following. So you should be aware of these are the names of cyclones. Fine. In monsoon trough, I have already this repeated that monsoon trough is nothing but a low pressure region that is characteristic feature of the monsoons, basically, of course, low pressure region. Fine. So however, its late birth as well as the late onset of the monsoon are both closely, late birth and late onset of the monsoon means late onset of both, let us say monsoon as well as the tropical cyclones related to typhoons in the northwest. Of course, the cyclones are called Tropical cyclones are referred to as typhoons in the northwestern Pacific Oceans, ठीक है, and the countries nearby. On May 19, typhoon Mawar was born and dissipated by June 3. Mawar qualified as super typhoon and thus far the strongest typhoon to have taken shape in May. So let us see, so ये एक typhoon आया Mawar, ठीक है, and dissipated by June 3. Mawar qualified, that was a super typhoon labeled as, ठीक है, and this was the strongest typhoon to have taken shape in May. May के मंथ में अभी तक का strongest typhoon है ये. It is also the strongest cyclone of 2023 so far. Tropical storm Gukol is now active just to the east of Philippines and is likely to continue northwest before veering off to the northeast. These powerful typhoons are thirsty beasts and demand moisture from far and wide. So of course they sucks the moisture as well. Mawar pulled winds across the equator into the North Indian Ocean, setting up southwesterly winds over parts of the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal. Southwesterly means blowing from south. Of course, this much we know. Southwesterly means blowing from southwest. Southeasterly means blowing from southeast. Of course. So मवार ने क्या किया कि जो wind है across the equator इसको pull करके into the North Indian Ocean के अब बात कर रहे हैं since beginning, setting up southwesterly winds over parts of the Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. ठीक है, इसने इस wind को इसके कहाँ Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal के ऊपर लाए. So southwesterly winds over the Arabian, we get the monsoon rains from southwesterly winds only at this direction. Southwesterly winds over the Arabian Sea are welcome news because they bring large quantities of moisture onto the Indian subcontinent. On the other hand, they bring led to the onset of monsoon and southwesterly winds or southwest monsoon over the Bay of Bengal. Southwesterly winds over Arabian Sea is fine, but over Bay of Bengal is bad news for the monsoon. The monsoon winds over the southern Bay of Bengal sweep in from the southwest and west, but they turn around and head northwest towards India from the southeast. So of course Arabian Sea के अगर level पे है, this side we are talking about, because हमारी onset of monsoon इसी side से होती है. So of course southwest जो this wind, westerly wind, it will give positive effect to or boost our monsoon, this southwest monsoon or the monsoon rainfall. But on the other hand, the onset of this southwesterly winds blowing over the Bay of Bengal, of course will counteract this advancement of monsoon, and it will generate a negative impact, and it can of course negatively impact our monsoon as well, because there will be counteracting effect. This is going this way and moving this way, this can also go this way, and somewhere if they meet, or it can lead to somewhere in between here, and of course even upward, can counteract with each other and neutralize the impact of positive monsoon. Winds were southwesterly over the entire Bay when Mawar was active. This continues to be the case now due to the Gukol, which has become a severe tropical storm now. Winds have been blowing strongly towards the northwestern over the Bay. A key reason why the monsoon trough has been struggling to reach Kerala. This is because of the blowing of southwesterly monsoon winds over the Bay of Bengal. Fine. That has been one of the reasons behind the delay of onset of monsoon in Kerala. Fine. Just happened yesterday. So little car on a highway. Okay. Little car on a highway. So what is it? The strong southwesterly winds over the Bay of Bengal can be imagined to be very large highway with heavy traffic heading from southwest over southern peninsular India and Sri Lanka towards the southern China Sea and northwestern Pacific Ocean, feeding the monstrous typhoons there. Okay. So strong जो southwesterly winds over the Bay of Bengal, इस साइड की हम बात कर रहे हैं, यही जाके फिर चाइना साइड जाएगा, southwest China, South China Sea and this. So of course, and the northwest Pacific Ocean, feeding the monstrous typhoon there. So of course, it can also feed, positively to the monsoon monstrous trough, that is Gukol already going there. The monsoon trough in the meantime is like a little car trying to cross this busy and wide highway from the Andaman Nicobar Island to India across the Bay of Bengal. So basically here this monsoon trough has been labeled as the little car, that is low pressure region. This complicated dance of global warming affecting cyclogenesis, that is cyclogenesis is production or formation of cyclones, basically this process of formation of cyclones over the Pacific and North Indian Oceans. The warming over the North Indian Ocean and the late pre-monsoon cyclones and typhoons together is just another monkey wrench in the monsoon's dynamics. So of course these are all another factors which are leading to the delaying our monsoons over the this southwesterly monsoon onset of course, and in the prediction of the monsoon's onset and its evolution through the season. Once seen as a very reliable system with its annual migration northwestward and withdrawal southeastward, the monsoon trough is now being kicked around in the game of climate change football. So, the author is saying that once this monsoon trough, that is low pressure region, has been labeled to as is seen to be a reliable dynamics in the onset of the monsoon, has been now kicked around in the game of climate change. Because of this climate change and global warming, it has even impact on the Bay of Bengal, and Bay of Bengal branch is not at all good for the having positive effect on the Indian monsoon or for monsoon rainfall. So that's the dynamics actually, that's the game of climate change football actually referred to as. So the two branches can have neutralizing effect on each other. So that's how this article has been. Fortunately, late monsoon onset does not necessarily indicate a monsoon deficit. Then again, this year is unique with an impending El Nino. So the nation waits and watches for the arrival of the monsoon, as always hoping for the best and preparing for the worst. Yes, this is what at best we can do. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Fine. So this is what already mentioned, impending El Nino. This year we are expecting El Nino, because La Nina has already been this already been there 3-4 years, and now it has dissipated. So this has been all. Okay, we have discussed major articles from today's newspaper. Let us see the miscellaneous facts and news quickly. CBI to prove equivalence. Okay, fine, going on. We are aware of this thing. No need to. Okay, this is a miscellaneous fact. Chandrayaan 3 to be launched in mid-July, said by ISRO. Chairman कौन है? S. Somnath. ठीक है? So mission is speaking to the international, of course. Mission Chandrayaan 3 is nearing its launch. ठीक है? Already इसकी तैयारी हो चुकी है, and this would be launched from where? Rao Satellite Center in Bengaluru to Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota. ठीक है? So remember कि mid July तक हम Chandrayaan 3 launch कर देंगे. ठीक है? This was what said by the ISRO chairman. Okay. Further. Okay, miscellaneous facts. Okay. Again, politics and miscellaneous facts. More of politics. Okay. Okay. Further moving to. Okay, so there will be a national exit test starting from the 2024. This is what has been sent by Union Health Minister that ठीक है. Next, it is national exit test will be held from 24. Will replace the final year MBBS examination in the national eligibility cum entrance test post graduate, of course NEET PG, acting as a test for registration for doctors and admission to medical postgraduate courses. This has been said by Honorable Minister. ठीक है. So ये again a miscellaneous fact, important, could be important for the prelims or any state level exams. Okay. Just quickly have a glimpse on what else is important for us today. Okay, so EVs and two-wheeler firms, जो हम article भी discuss कर चुके हैं, PB, SOS to FM flag raising stress. What are the issue? Cry for help. Why they are crying for help? So SMAB, Secretary General, of course, urges Finance Minister to consider getting 3,000 crore rehabilitated fund. Subsidies have been due from Ministry of Heavy Industries. अभी तक नहीं मिली है. Ministry has sought the return of subvention paid under the FAME2 scheme, and companies also told to refund some money to their customers. So there is some issues going on between, of course, the government and the two-wheelers manufacturers. Those who have claimed, this subsidies falsely. So of course the government is asking to return and all. So this is what going on, but they are crying for help from the government side and for creating some emergency funds. ठीक है. Easy trade finance is key to 2 trillion. Easy trade finance is key to 2 trillion in exports target, that is we are targeting by the year 2030. 2030 तक हमारा टारगेट है कि हम अपने एक्सपोर्ट्स को 2 ट्रिलियन तक ले जाएं, ठीक है. So this has been said by Additional Director General of Foreign Trade C. Agrawal. So easy finance, trade finance basically ज़रूरी है कि हो, तभी हम इस टारगेट को पूरा कर पाएंगे, ठीक है. अकॉर्डिंग टू कॉमर्स मिनिस्ट्री की अगर डेटा देखो लेटेस्ट फिगर, तो मिनिस्ट्री डेटा एक्सपोर्ट्स ऑफ गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज इन 2022-23 दैट इज फिजिकल ईयर 23 रोज almost 15% year to year to 775 billion 5.87 billion as against 676 billion in 21-22. So this figure might be important कि we have registered around almost 15% net growth in our exports, ठीक है. Okay. Okay, so we have landed on the sports page. So I think that's it for the day. Thank you so much for being with us. Stay tuned for the tomorrow's Hindu analysis. I hope you have understood whatever we have discussed. Please revise. Until then, take care. Thank you.